92.89, 15 commits. LSU, 92.53, and LSU is sitting at number 3, right? That's with just 15 commits in the boat. So if Lincoln Riley charges the way that he charged in the 2019 class with Jeremiah Cradell, a Ramondre Stevenson, Ty D. Armon to close out a Marcus Stripling, Oklahoma could be sitting pretty with a top 5 class, be their second top 5 class in 3 years, they finished 6th. But that Brew McCoy thing. All right, so 2019, Oklahoma finishes just outside the top 5. And let me make sure that I get the math right here, because this is important. So I want to make sure I get this right. Yes, Oklahoma finishes at number 6 with 24 commits and an average score of 91.2. They probably finish number 5 if Texas does not get to count that Brew McCoy commit that got them to 26 and a score of 287.69. They fall out of the top 5. Oklahoma moves up. LSU moves to 4. Ampersand U moves to 3. So, this could be Oklahoma's first top 5 class in 11 years. The last one being 2010, which the crazy thing about that one is there weren't any 5 stars in that 2020 recruiting class, according to the top 247 composite. I think Tony Jefferson was the top recruit in that class too, which is wild. So think about that for a second. Oklahoma finds 10 other dudes, the 15 dudes they got. They finish as a top 3 class in recruiting, which is bonkers. And they get help, right? Because with the re-ranking, Danny Stutzman, linebacker who was a 3-star, has moved up to a 4-star in the top 247. Jordan Mooks, coming out of Choctaw, has been moved to a 4-star as well. 6'4", little over 200 pounds. He's going to play a little safety. Oklahoma still got Billy Bowman in the boat, right? Who is ranked number 33, I believe, in the 247 Sports Composite. Matter of fact, I want to make sure that I get that right as well. Let's just check on it right quick. At 33, right? And then number 3 in the state. Yeah. Number 38, I believe, in the top 247. And then, what's going to happen with Tumise Adeleye, right? So, I put in a crystal ball on this last week, and go check that out. But Tumise was committed to Ohio State, reopens his recruitment, feels like it's down to Alabama and Texas A&M. Maybe Oklahoma sneaks in there. I doubt it, but we'd see, right? But when you're looking at the uncommitted prospects, the guys that are still out there that I think are intriguing, that can really make a dent in these rankings, are guys like L.J. Johnson, who Steve Wiltfong has predicted to Texas. He's ranked number 40 in the top 247, but it's going to be down to Texas A&M and, of course, Texas for him. I like Johnson, and I think what's interesting about the Johnson deal and him having Texas and Ampersand U means that those are 2 places that Camar Wheaton probably doesn't go, right? Especially when we're talking about Texas. When you look at Camar Wheaton's last, I think it was top 3. It's been so long since we heard from Camar Wheaton that it's really going to come down to, I think, LSU, SMU, or Oklahoma. And LSU has already taken 1 running back, and Oklahoma hasn't taken any. You get to add a guy like Camar Wheaton to that class, and all of a sudden, you got a real shot at finishing not just inside the top 10, but again, toward that top 5, because he is going to be a much higher ranked player than most of the other guys you're recruiting. Matter of fact, 100% of crystal balls have him going to Oklahoma right now as a 5-star composite recruit, number 23 in the rankings, and just behind Kyle McCord, quarterback committed to Ohio State, and just ahead of JaQuincy McKinstry, the number 1 cornerback and a commit to Alabama, and number 1 player in the state of Alabama. Also ahead of Smael Mondon and Will Shipley, right? Will Shipley is committed to Clemson. There's some really great company in here that Camar Wheaton is keeping. And if Oklahoma can put him in the boat, feel like it's going to be a wrap when it comes to who wins the Big 12 the Big 12 Conference recruiting championship. And then Oklahoma can really start to make a late charge, especially if this Tristan Lay stuff turns out to be on the level. That's 2 5-stars that you get to add to a 3rd 5-star, and a Billy Bowman who's on the verge of being a 5-star. That class has the opportunity to be really outstanding and great. Just give it a second. BMOT20 says, you think OSU's defense going to get better soon? OSU's defense is good. Oh, you talk about Ohio State. My bad. There are 2 OSUs in my house, not 3, because Oregon State doesn't really get a whole hell of a lot of run here. Though, shout out Jonathan Smith. Shout out Jaquiz Rogers. Shout out Brandon Cooks. Anyway, I think Ohio State's defense gets better if they shore up the secondary, and they have an opportunity to prove that against Indiana at 11 a.m. on Big Fox when Michael Penix Jr. and Stevie Scott and Ty Freifogel and Whop Philyor travel to Ohio Stadium. What I think is interesting about that game is they're not going to allow any fans whatsoever to attend. It was the Big Ten's policy to let family, close friends attend the game. So you're talking like maybe 100 people, right? Maybe a little bit more than that. Now they're saying because of the rise in cases, the spikes around Columbus, nobody that is not directly affiliated with the game itself gets to go to that game, right? So you don't even get your close friends and family. Like I was texting with Justin Fields' father for this feature that I wrote for Fox, and he was traveling up to Columbus for their opener against Nebraska, and like he doesn't get to do that now, right? According to this policy, which absolutely sucks because I feel for all the parents that don't get to travel to these games, especially at this really dark time in our history. But also, you need to put on tape and in front of a national television audience that you are still Ohio State. Not to say that you're not, but think about this. You're still recruiting JT Tuimoloau and Emeka Egbuka, right? Those are 2 dudes you're still coming after. You need to be able to show that you are going to dunk on a number 9 Indiana team. You need to put that on tape. You need to get back to the playoff. You need the playoff to be played. You need to win a national championship to shore that up, right? Ohio State is recruiting at a ridiculous level right now. It has been since about March. Basically, since they got Kerry Combs back in the boat, along with guys like Al Washington and Tony Alford, they just out here killing it. But I think Brian Hartline, remiss if I didn't say him, Larry Johnson Sr., I can name the entire staff. You know how that goes. But I think that because you can't get the kids on campus and because the dead period is extended through April, you only have national television to use as a enormous recruiting tool. Like you can do all the Zoom conferences that you want to do. You can do all the virtual tours you want to do. You need to be able to show on the field that y'all are dominant and that the kids want to be a part of that. You also need to show in the NFL draft, which Ohio State has done here in the last couple of years, right? Especially when we're talking about defensive line, cornerbacks, and really offensive line. But I think that their secondary getting better, their secondary picking people off is also going to show an Emeka Egbuka that, yes, I'm going to get challenged by dudes like Sevyn Banks, dudes like Josh Proctor, dudes like Sean Wade. And a way that they have been taken apart here in recent games, it don't make me feel good, right? The same thing goes with that front 7 against Nebraska. I get that Nebraska's going to be a running football team in 2020, such as it is, but 200 yards to Nebraska ain't what you sign up for, especially with a Larry Johnson defensive line and that linebacker group of Tuff Borland, Pete Werner, and Baron Browning. I expected that front 7 to be one of the best in the country. Now, do I think that JT Tuimoloau is going to be put off by what they have done? No. If anything, I'm more inclined to think of Tuimoloau at Ohio State than Egbuka, though I'm throwing Egbuka in there, because Tuimoloau still wants to play basketball. And Ohio State, I believe, is a better basketball school than Washington, for instance, right? Or even Alabama, for that matter. So I think there's stuff for them to prove there. Let's see.